welcome to 2.5 Gasians. I am Derek, Vicky, Christina, Barcelona.
I'm Alan. Wait a second, did you say 2.5 Gasians?
I did.
Who is there another half Gasian here?
No, there's actually a full Asian. We have a very special guest on this podcast. Guest, please say hello.
Hi. Sorry, I was drinking some wine.
Would you like to tell them at least your first name? Because no last names here, like your Grindr hookups, only first names.
Well, you can be like Derek and give a totally false name. Well, I guess you
Derek is my name.
You use Christina Barcelona.
That is my stage name. Like
do you have a stage name?
Do I have a stage name?
Yeah.
I definitely
not your
should
name.
have a stage name.
Not your drag name.
I do not have a drag name, and I do not have a stage name, but my name is John.
Okay.
AKA Typographic on Instagram, AKA Nuho Queen Dad as of late.
Hi. Wait, is that your Instagram name, or that's just what you?
No, it's just what I've been called.
What?
Yeah.
Pretentious prick.
Dad?
Yeah, I'm becoming a dad, a father.
He's getting a dad bod. So, hi, John.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, wow. So, we asked you here because you're the only other Asian that fits into extra large t-shirts besides me. So, I wanted to feel the body positivity.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be in the presence of someone who actually wears shirts that they fit into, unlike my co-host Alan, who we discussed in an earlier podcast that you wear shirts that are too small.
So part of the reason why we also wanted you on was, part of the reason we were starting this podcast was to get a Asian perspective, and we've been offering the Filipino perspective.
See.
So we want to get someone else now,
yeah.
A different Asian.
Right. What kind of Asian are you?
I'm a Vietnamese, Vietnamese Canadian.
Cool.
I was born here.
Okay.
Same.
Both my parents are Vietnamese.
Okay.
Although I feel our experiences are very similar, I would imagine so, because white people see us all as the same anyway, right?
Wow.
So,
We're all the same, right? So, I know this is being presumptuous. You're a homosexual.
homosexual,
right?
yes.
Okay, perfect. I don't think I just wanted to, if anyone was listening and they're like, oh, is he gay? Who's this Viet guy who may or may not be gay? So you're gay. You recently threw a gay party for Asians.
Yeah, so it's interesting because
Why?
Wait, what is it called first?
Yeah.
Sure, so I throw a party, and to be clear, it's not a gay party, it's a queer party.
Okay, what's the difference between a queer party and a gay party?
I think that's up for debate, but I think a queer party, there's a distinction between queer and gay, I think. I think very much like gay can be perceived as sort of male-focused,
Right.
and our parties are very much not male-focused.
Yeah.
They're really not even gender-focused at all or gender-specific, but a lot of female-identifying queer people and male-identifying queer people and non-binary people come to the party.
Right.
It's a safe space for creative people who are into fashion and expression and dance and ball or whatever it is that you get into, but it's really for queer Asians, and that's a major distinction, only because I think for a long time there's been a gay Asian party in Toronto, which is announced at their cousin. Which shall not be named. No.
Voldemort.
No.
The Voldemort party.
Nothing
If
but...
you've listened to the last podcast or the last few,
I feel like we
I've
shaded
probably
it at
mentioned
some
it.
point. We've definitely shaded it.
You know, but it's nothing but love for Asian Express. Honestly, I think that they were an important fixture in the community.
Right.
But a queer party, what it offers, a queer Asian party, what it offers is a moment to feel like you're really with family. And when you're with family, you're not just cruising constantly, right? When you're with family, it's a loving feeling, and you can find your best friend there or somebody that you want to make out with or fuck, but it's more about finding like-minded individuals with other types of intersections via interests or whatever else you might get into. So it's not a place to cruise. It's certainly not a place for the white gays.
Woo! Wait, are you saying G-A-Y-S?
No, G-A-Z-E. Yeah.
It's the white gays. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, that would be a good party too.
Yeah, white gays.
Gays.
But it's not it's not a meat market for people who are fetishizing Asian people, right? And I think that's really important too. I think for a lot of younger queer Asians, they didn't necessarily have to spend an entire decade maybe we have assimilating and sort of like being colonized. You know, I think when I think about my identity as an Asian person, like at 35, I feel like there's a lot of decolonization that needs to happen. I need to understand that I should talk about, you know, my Vietnamese heritage, and that I should be proud of being Asian. I should have Asian friends. I should be attracted to other Asians. I should be attracted to myself. And I think the reason why I haven't been in you know, the better part of my adulthood is because I haven't felt like there's been room for more than one Asian.
Right.
You know, I enter a bear space or an eagle or something like that. I end
like
up
one
being
hot one.
exactly. There's like one hot Asian, and actually a friend of mine that I met at the Eagle in San Francisco, I showed up. He's an Asian guy, very sexy guy, and I remember one of the first things that he said to me was, "Oh, great! Now that you're here, you know, I'm not gonna get laid."
Fuck.
And I was like, "Is this my fucking reality? Like, is there really only room for one Asian?" And so what I've realized is that my identity as a queer Asian person has been colonized over the last 10 years. And
We haven't formed one.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I'm trying to sort of get in touch with my Asianness.
Same.
You're Canadian born, right? Mm-hmm. So, at what age did you start, you know, trying to get more in touch with your heritage, with your culture?
Yeah, well, it wasn't until I was 12 that I looked in the mirror and thought, are my eyes actually that different from everybody else's? And I went over to my sister's room, my eldest sister, and I was like, Jenny, like, are my eyes really smaller than everybody else's? And she was like, yes, John, you're Asian. And I was like, are you really? Like, and you know, I had led a very white life for
Did you
most
live
of
in
my
a
life.
predominantly white neighborhood?
Yeah, where did you grow up?
I grew up in St. Catharines, which is like
The answer was
That's
yes.
that's the answer.
The answer was
yeah,
yes.
we were like
It was always yes.
the first refugee family,
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
right, in St. Catharines, and that was a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have any friends or allies that were also Asian.
And gay, I'm assuming.
And gay, like certainly not. But I would say that like I haven't really been trying to get in touch with my Asianness until as recently as 5 years ago, I would say.
Okay, yeah,
Probably
so
like
that's very
28,
recent,
28, 29.
That's pretty recent.
Yeah. And up until that point, I was just too busy trying to figure out how to move in spaces that were non-Asian.
Yeah.
How do I move in a twink space that's all predominantly white?
Yeah.
How do I move in a drag bar that's predominantly white people?
Yeah.
How do I like learn every tragically hip song that I can find, and like how do I
would have said Bare Naked Ladies.
you know, Bare Naked Ladies, but whatever, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and like I mean, great music, whatever. But like honestly, I spent a lot of time trying to conform.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
And I think, no, I mean, I don't know, was that your experience?
Well, this is what's fucked because I'm a half Asian, hence the name, and I'm a passable. For all things considered, I'm passable as a white person. So it's like I have the ability to move in those spaces as a white person, but I grew up Asian and like
You grew up with your mom.
because I grew up with my mom and my grandma. So I in my heart I'm shit. Am I Rachel Dozel? No, I can't because I'm not even pretending. But I feel like I am an Asian identifying person that can pass as white. And it's weird because I get what you're saying, that it's different, but for me, it was different in my mind.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really different. Nobody treated me differently.
See, I had the same experience as John.
Right.
Because I grew up predominantly, like, all Filipino household. But, you know, when I turned 15, 14, we moved to Pickering, predominantly white.
Yeah.
My neighbors were all white. So this was like a shock to me because I grew up in Scarborough where the majority, like I had maybe 2 white friends.
Right.
And then I'm moving to a predominantly white town, a city now. And it's like, oh, I can't relate to anything what anyone says.
Yeah.
Especially I'm a teenager. So luckily I was able to stay in my high school.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to use like my aunt's address as my residency.
We were like Andrea Zuckerman in 90210 who used her aunt's. You know what I'm talking about? Does anyone get that reference? Okay.
That's
You're not even giving
insane.
fucking props for that?
No, I totally get it.
Very Caucasian. Very
Jewish,
Caucasian.
like Jewish Caucasian. Hey, Mazel Tov. Sorry.
That's I totally relate to what you're saying, and it was only until I think I was like 25 when I was like actually accepting like, okay, I'm Asian, I'm different.
So did you guys think you were white the whole time?
No, I didn't. I mean, I think I was whitewashed.
What is it? So what's okay? Well, so explain like whitewashed versus like
I want to be white even though I'm not.
Ew.
Yep, my whole adult life up until probably 27, I wanted to be white.
It's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I was lucky enough to meet somebody when I was 24 when I came out of the closet, my ex-husband, and he nurtured me and loved me and never really made me feel weird about being Asian and embraced Asian culture and was arguably more Asian than me, like full otaku, like full just obsessed with Japanese culture and
There's
like
an expression for that. What is that?
otaku.
Otaku? It's not a weeboo?
Otaku.
A weebo?
Otaku. Yeah.
Okay, that's a white person who thinks they're Asian.
Yeah, I think it's somebody that's obsessed with Japanese culture that isn't Japanese.
Got it.
Just Japanese culture though.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
and so like my ex-husband was really great at making me feel comfortable in my own skin, but it wasn't really until I started downloading gay apps when we went open in our relationship that I started to realize that holy fuck, my experience as a gay Asian person is going to be a really difficult one. And at the very beginning, it was like something like Scruff was actually really exciting because nobody was using that app. You know, people were using it, but the sort of like pool of people that were using it was small enough that you could actually see men in Japan on Scruff in your feed, like with a few scrolls.
There wasn't a nearby or whatever.
Exactly, and so like it was really exciting to see so many gay people from around the world. But that's when I started really seeing the racism in the gay community.
Yeah, right.
Right, it was like a lot of.
They got real quick about it too.
Yeah, no fats, no femmes, no Asians, of course. Like that was like it's. Yeah. I mean.
So you didn't listen to you haven't listened to our podcast before, but I'm not even angry about it. You know what? I'm not even angry about it. I'm not even angry about it. But if you had, and I'm not angry about it that you didn't, we did an episode where I went to LA and I met like the most beautiful Filipino man.
John.
And he thought he was John.
Cat,
You know
Cats.
John.
Yeah.
So he thinks he's like a 7, and I'm like, dude, you're so.
No, he's like a full 10.
He's
Oh
so
my God,
hot.
yeah.
But he told me he's like I had to explain to my boyfriend that as an Asian, like because they have the race filters on Grindr, he would change his race and he would show his boyfriend like if you put white, this is who he sees. If you put black, this is who he sees. If you put so his boyfriend, like he had to explain to his boyfriend that as an Asian, he had a totally different experience on apps than everyone else. And I was just like, that's fucked.
I just didn't answer that question.
Yeah.
Like in my profile, I didn't answer the body hair,
Right.
and I didn't answer the race because
I just put age and like height.
I took off age because I'm giving dad vibes and
that's
I'm just
true.
rolling
Maybe
with
I
it,
should.
right? I'm almost 40.
But for me, I had to hide like really important parts of my identity in order for anybody to even talk to me. Like to the point where I would even
It's
like
so
post.
fucked.
You know, I would post a photo without my face. I'd be in a great conversation with somebody for a few days, and then finally, like, here's my face, and it's like, oh, you're Asian. You have a small dick. Like, see you later.
Right.
You're a bottom.
You're a bottom. You have a small
Can't
dick.
speak
You're
English.
effeminate. Like, you're probably small. Like, you're probably lying about your weight. You're probably not 240 pounds. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, that's when I really experienced racism. But also, remarkably, that's when I first experienced somebody helping me embrace my Asianness. Because I met this guy named Christopher, and he saw my profile pic and said, you know, you look just like a G-man. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is this? And then he sent me 20 images of these illustrations by a Japanese artist called Jiraiya. And
Good segue.
And-
BTW.
Yeah.
Good segue.
and
Good segue.
and honestly, like, that's the first time I saw an Asian man that I could be attracted to, that I identified with. And up until that point, I had thought as well that all Asian men should be bottoms and should be thin and should fit a certain Western criteria. But then I realized that, you know, through this artist's work, that there was a whole other universe of Asian masculinity and Asian beauty that I could get into. And so from that moment forward, I feel like my life really changed because I started to understand that definitions of beauty and masculinity, or whatever you want to call it, or fuckability, those definitions change all over the world. And if you take, the hottest white guy here and drop him in, Taipei,
Right.
he's probably not gonna be wanted. You know what I mean? And so, like, I don't know that we're much better as a Asian bear community.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're much better as Asians. I think our Asian experience in Western culture is certainly distinct, but I think if you took it in the inverse way, that we might just be as guilty of having localized ideals of what beautiful is, right?
Well, we had the unfortunate/fortunate, reality of being born in a culture where white beauty was the ideal.
Right.
But to your point, like if we were in the Philippines, I feel like we'd be getting all the dick. Like
yes and no, they still idealize white people.
Well, they idealize mixed race, so maybe I would just be
Actually, I don't know.
Asian tops.
Oh, fun.
And I want to talk about. So, Alan has a white boyfriend.
Yeah.
Which is okay. I'm not judging. John has a white boyfriend.
Yeah.
What's that about? I'm single.
Okay.
And looking and horny.
For me,
so, yeah.
the reason.
Have you only dated white guys?
No. I had a black boyfriend for like 2 years. The reason for me is I want someone that looks different from me.
Okay.
I can't understand boyfriend twins. Twins that look, if anyone doesn't know what that is, boyfriends that look exactly the same.
It's gross.
It's weird.
There's a Tumblr and it's gross. Don't look at it.
I need someone that looks different from me.
Yeah.
Whether they be white, another Asian race, another Asian culture, another like black, Spanish.
Another Filipino guy that just looks different from you.
Shade.
No, like,
Shade.
I need like 2 different experiences. Do you know what I mean?
No.
So like, I can't date another Filipino because I want to learn something else in my relationship. He's from the East Coast, and I've learned so much about like the East Coast life from him.
But don't you think that another Filipino person could be completely different from you?
Not the ones I've met.
Are we not dating? Am I not your boyfriend? Am I not
People
your?
think so.
Am I not your like?
So I went to a cottage weekend this weekend, and everyone thought Brian and I were together until like 5 hours in. And they're like, "Why didn't you know your boyfriend's birthday?" And I'm like, "He's not like." Sorry, it's this guy that I went to a cottage with.
Yeah.
And it's like,
So we're not dating.
No.
Like, just to be clear. What a fucking asshole.
Not the ones I've met so far, but I just I'll have sex with Filipinos, but I just can't see myself dating them.
I've been on this
Because I think it's the similarities are too.
I think it's weird. Honestly,
What's weird?
I think it's weird to make any assumption about an entire, like a sweeping statement about any race and any kind of generalization that anybody from that race is going to be similar to you because they're of the same race.
Yeah.
The world is a really big place.
No,
people live in different places. People are cultured in different ways. And I feel like for me, at least at 35, all bets are off. Like,
Fuck yeah.
I don't believe in like making generalizations about any, like, I could never say that I would never date a black person or I would never date a Viet person. I just think that like people are so varied and diverse, and I've experienced enough, of people sort of making assumptions about me that I would never rule out anybody. Actually, I feel I'd fuck anyone and I'd date anyone. You know what I mean? Like,
well, we'll see if the boyfriend and I break up. We'll
Jesus,
see what happens. No, but at this point, it's mostly I need someone with a completely different experience in life as me. It can't just be like, oh, your mom's Filipino, my mom's Filipino. Even though we grew up differently, there's still similarities.
I get it. And
so, like, I mean, if he and I were to break up, I'm not going to turn down, like, an Asian guy, a Filipino guy. Like, it has to actually be, like, personality.
Real talk? 35 for me is when I fucking realized that I needed to open the rainbow as well. Where I was just like, let's just try. Like I was like, you know what? I was kind of like, no shade. I was kind of done with white mediocrity. That I realized that I could either go for like a mediocre dude who was a 7, or I could go for an ethnic 10 who like thought he was on my level when he was way hotter than me. So I started like dating outside of my range, which I have no problem with.
You always should. That's the thing.
I think I sucked your dick on your 35th birthday. Is that what happened?
That's how they know.
Was that your 35th?
It was my 35th birthday.
We opened the rainbow together.
No, small but taste the rainbow. So I think I want to segue into Asian Tops.
Asian Tops.
It's a Facebook page and a Tumblr.
It's a Facebook page.
Jerry's just getting all the plugs. They're just plugging everything.
Yeah,
right now.
so there's Asian Tops. So Asian Tops was something that I started as a rebellious act because I was when you realize who your oppressors are and you realize where it comes from, the first step is to get mad about it, right?
Yeah.
And to do something and to build something. And what I found when I was experiencing a lot of racism was that I started becoming this kind of like this social justice warrior and attacking other people's work, attacking what other people are making, attacking DNA for not putting an Asian guy on their cover. But eventually I realized that I'm just sort of like, all of my protests were falling on deaf ears because when somebody takes the time to create something, it's their creation, and who are you to really criticize what they're creating? And I for sure there are like public entities that owe it to the population to sort of be an advocate for diversity. But when it comes to things that are privately owned, privately created, privately funded, they're gonna create what they want to create. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what you say to them. You can say, why haven't you put an Asian guy on the cover of DNA? And it's like, well, fuck you. Like, who are you and why are you telling me to do anything? So what I realized at that time was, instead of trying to tear down what other people are making, and trying to get them and encourage them to represent me and my people, I'm just going to start my own shit. And I'm just going to cultivate my own reality, and I'm going to start to create my own things, my own projects that are going to lift my people up and lift me up. And I think, I honestly think it's like the right approach,
Oh, totally. Oh my God.
Because out of it,
what we're doing here. This is
this obviously
that's what this is.
That's
what this is. Yeah. But like Massive, for example, like I knew the impact that Massive had on my life. I found my inner confidence. I understood what Asian beauty was and masculinity and all these things. Not to mention the art's just beautiful. But they had a tremendous impact on my life, and I wanted to pay it forward by creating something else. So I created Asian Tops, after contributing, graphic design and other things to Massive and working their booths and whatever. I still do that. But then I created Asian Tops because I didn't feel like there was anything happening on Facebook, that really kind of like exposed people to, the range of Asian bodies and faces and sexuality, right? So Asian Tops, like, we came up with that name because it was very much like, why don't people see Asians as tops? But eventually, actually, some white people messaged me and were like, I find your page offensive. How come,
shut the fuck
how come
up.
you don't have any body diversity? And it's like, fuck you. Like, this is not for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was really upsetting, actually, and I won't name the person, but this person's a troll. I don't really care.
Is he from Toronto?
Yeah, and was like, I find your page offensive. How come you don't have body diversity? And it's like, well, because I'm trying to do something else, man. Like, just fuck off.
You should just go look at some other ads. And
like XY, they can go look at your XY magazine.
But it's that exact experience that I had with somebody telling me what to do with my creative output.
Yeah.
It's probably how DNA feels when people when people are like blasting them on Twitter, like, why don't you have a black person on your cover? So anyway, I created Asian Tops for that reason, to sort of give exposure to different sort of like real Asian men who are beefy and beautiful and whatever masculine, whatever you want to call it. And so Asian tops isn't just about like sexual position. It's about like Asians being dominant or potentially like being able to fit into that role.
Yeah. I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we covered a lot. That was really fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like he's so much smarter than the two of us, which is great.
I'm a little drunk.
I'm a lot of drunk. You're not even drunk, which is the smartest tactic.
Well, I actually don't think that I'm smarter than you. I think I'm being thrust into wokeness. And I'm decolonizing at a very rapid speed because the people that I'm spending so much time with, and a lot of these amazing queer Asian kids that are suddenly in my life, are waking me up very quickly.
That's cute.
So,
Carrie, plug all your things.
Yeah.
Give us all
Where
your
can we
things.
find you? What parties? What are you?
So you can follow New Ho Queen at New Ho Queen NEWHOQUEEN.
Are you giving me the?
Yeah,
what are you
New Ho
doing?
Queen.
Yeah.
So you can follow New Ho Queen at New Ho Queen. You can follow Massive on Insta.
Instagram, yeah.
And you can follow Massive at Massive Gay on Instagram.
Okay.
I think they're on Twitter as well, but mostly on Insta. So that's at Massive Gay.
Okay.
And then you can follow me.
What about Asian Tops?
Oh,
Asian
Asian
Tops
Tops,
only on
yeah.
Facebook?
Yeah, Asian Tops is only on Facebook, so do a quick little query.
I feel like it'll be the only. What will be the only result if you
Yeah.
typed in Asian Tops
Probably.
on Facebook? We don't know. Actually,
You never
We don't
You
know.
never
We don't know.
But do a quick query for Asian Tops, and you can follow my and your infrequent posts of really sexy Asian guys.
Well,
We'll put it on the website.
We'll
and
put
stuff.
we'll put the podcast on there as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
they can hear your sexy Asian voice.
They can hear my sexy Asian
What?
Ooh.
Deep voices.
Yowza. Actually, what is the next New Hope?
Oh yeah, so the next
in 2018 for anyone who's listening.
Yeah, so the next New Ho Queen is September 7th, 2018. It's a Friday, and it's
Yeah.
going to be at Round Venue, back to the beginning, where we started. So it'll be at Round Venue on Friday, September 7th,
Nice.
2018, and
Yeah,
we're
so-
really excited. The name of the party is New Ho Queen House Special, aka New Ho Queen Dak Beat, which is how you say house special in a Vietnamese restaurant. And we're gonna feature a lineup of really incredible, talented house DJs. We're looking at bringing in some amazing talent from Seoul, Korea,
Oh, wow.
which is really
Okay.
cool. So, but don't mark my words on that. And you can always expect really amazing performances and just like a great Asian positive, Asian love kind of vibe.
Amazing.
Sweet.
Cool.
Well,
All
on
right.
that note,
So we will talk to you guys later.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.